studio in Johannesburg, South Africa. You are listening to What the Relationship with Candace and
Sako.
And our guest for today, Miles.
Miles.
We just revealed Miles, guys.
We revealed Miles.
I got revealed.
Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
So if you're looking for a conventional relationship podcast that gives sort of unconventional advice, we hope we'll make a great pair. If you can't love yourself, who the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Today, the topic is how we navigate mental health in our relationships. And just a young side note, we might deviate from this topic based on, current events. And Sako and I are really hating men.
No, choosing violence. So Pisces retrograde. Like, I don't think you guys actually understand.
It is a retrograde in the studio, guys.
Was it grade or gade?
Grade.
Retrograde.
Yeah.
She's been saying retrograde.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a match like cool drink, the retrograde.
Energy.
Energy. Retro. But even then,
It's the same thing.
energy, retro jade.
That's what I thought.
Are you jaded by like the retroness
Yes,
of
jaded by
the?
men.
Incredibly.
Okay.
It be your faves.
Mm.
No, men are not our faves. Men are not our faves at all.
A note for like
Mm.
when we get merch,
Mhm.
we will have retro jade as an energy drink
Oh my goodness.
to help you cope with the phenomena that is men.
Anyway. back
It'll be
to the-
infused with CBD.
Back to the topic on hand, guys. Mental health. It's a serious one.
Yeah, no.
And I think it's one that we tend to downplay a lot. I think oftentimes we ourselves as individuals don't take our mental health seriously.
That's true.
So when you get into a relationship where you may be dealing with mental illness and your partner doesn't want to take it seriously, it can actually have an impact on your relationship, like codependency, sex. Mental health can affect the sex drive. It can.
You know, when I think about mental health in relationships, I don't know why my mind went to traumas. Because one of the things that I had to like consciously stop doing in relationships is dating men to fix them. And I realized that because I have the hero syndrome, I always feel like I want to fix men. Well, this is in the past, guys. This was when I was much younger. I always felt like I wanted to fix men. I wanted to like fix something about them. So that's why I'd always choose the toxic ones. And then in the end, it ended up hurting me while I'm trying to save them.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, I just took some time away from that. And I realized that, there's also some things we just can't run away from. Like when we look at traumas, I think it's very important to look at why people do certain things and why people say certain things. It kind of comes from like a childhood thing. There's something that happened in their childhood that just has like a negative effect on their adult life. And I'm starting to realize that, e.g., I think with me, I've become I think I've always been this hunt, but I'm a very independent woman, right? I'm gonna sound like Eartha Kitt right now, and I genuinely don't need men. I don't
What is
need
compromise?
women.
Remember
I
that
don't
video?
need
That video she posted,
what
like,
is compromise? Exactly.
When women compromise all their lives. I
Yeah.
love Eartha.
Because why must we compromise? And I realized for me, my relationship with people is very odd because I always want you and I love you, but the need is not there. I have always managed to fend for myself. I've always managed to get things done by myself, for myself, so for me, when there's someone in my life, you can do things for me, but like they must also not feel like they are not doing enough for me because I'm doing it all for myself. That's just a me thing. So that's the one thing I realized, last year in this relationship that I'm in, that for me it's not even about the next person. I just love doing things for myself. Like I love getting things done. Like yes, you'll find a new batch of roses because I bought them. Like like it's a me thing. I like doing things by myself because it just gets things done.
Question: do you not find that when you're in a relationship that, because you love yourself a lot, like you made a thing that I want to start doing where you buy yourself roses or flowers every month, right? So what then happens when you start dating someone who is sort of intimidated by the self-love that you have for yourself and starts to like think, okay, yo, this girl, she loves herself. Hey, she's always about herself. Hey, how do you navigate that space? Because men sometimes can get very intimidated by the fact that it's always, I'm doing my nails, I'm doing my hair, I'm getting myself flowers, you know, I can love myself. What happens?
And it's also in like the male psyche, it's like that fine line between like self-love and is she a total narcissist?
And that's okay. For me, that's something I'm still trying to navigate even in the relationship that I'm in, because it's not about you. Like it's more about, I've always done my nails with my money. I've always done my hair with my money. The hair that I'm gluing, the got to be glue, not the gorilla is with my money. So I wouldn't use the word intimidated, but I think the word lost comes up. You know, when men kind of feel like, so where do I stand with her? Where do I fit in? And I think a lot of the time it was also resulted in infidelity, especially infidelity where, and you look at the women that they go for, and guys, mind you, I'm not one of those women who shame other women. Yeah. But let's speak facts. The women that they go for are unemployed women, reliant women, dependent women.
Submissive.
Oh, child, let me tell you something. I will submit to you to a certain extent. After that, I'm going to start questioning things, especially if you don't know your story, period. So yes, they do feel lost. Like they do feel like, where do I stand with her? What can I do for her that's different? And what men don't realize is that actually has everything to do with you. That has your mental health now involved, not mine. Because for me, what makes me happy is working hard, getting my nails done, getting my hair done. Like that's such an ego boost, dude. Yeah, like, that's my thing.
And you should be primarily happy that your girl is happy through taking care of herself. Yeah,
I don't get how men. I almost said niggas. I don't get how men.
Wiggers as well.
Wiggers too. I don't get how men feel like what we do for ourselves, entitled to what we do for ourselves and what we want for our lives has everything to do with them. And I think that's more narcissistic than doing your nails and doing your hair. I think that has a more narcissistic aspect to it, because you think that my whole world now, just because you're here, has to revolve around you. Exactly. That's my problem. That is my problem with it.
Girl, I don't think I've ever had.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
I haven't.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
You also, it's not a race thing, but it's a culture thing, right? White people weren't taught to provide. White people were taught to create your life, run your race, find a partner who's gonna run your race with you. Black men were taught, would say, you are the man of this house. You will take care of this house. You make sure to put a roof over her head. You make sure you give her babies that she can take care of. But what we don't realize that there's more to life than that. What if the woman actually comes with her own roof?
Yeah, what if the flip scripts?
It's a crisis. It's a crisis in masculinity. Yeah.
The masculinity is attached to finances. It's attached to what I can do for you physically, not emotionally, not spiritually, not even sexually sometimes. Like, you can have the biggest schlong in the world, but if you're just gonna stick it in there and chill, you're not doing tag.
True.
Nothing. So for me, like, I think this comes down with mental health, because we need to look at how, because sometimes, I mean, in relationships, we always have those things where you kind of feel like you are almost the target, but for misdirected emotions.
Oh, you know?
So when we look at someone who maybe is not diagnosed, but you've been noticing that they've been really depressed lately, sex drive is extremely low, they've just not been themselves, they haven't been dressing up lately or doing the things that they're doing lately. And then when you sort of pry and, ask those kind of questions of, what's wrong? Is everything okay? You're getting the backlash. You're the one,
and it's like hypersensitivity out of nowhere.
Exactly. And suddenly everything is just like, and I will not say I've been that person who was depressed and I didn't even know it. But I've also been that person who was receiving the depression and I was just like, what the hell is going on? So it's very important. And I think in also Black heterosexual relationships, we need to have those discussions, because men don't talk.
They don't talk, and as a result, we get to be punching bags either emotionally or physically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately that's the result, that's the outcome. I'm sort of glad that we actually have a man on this discussion today.
So
Hi.
Because that is one thing that I think we personally struggled with in the beginning of our relationship.
Oh yeah, like not talking.
I always had to be like, hello, how are you? Are you there? Where are you? What's going on?
Like, let's talk more about like actual stuff than just like, hi, hello.
Yeah.
You look lovely today.
And I think men in particular, this is as a result of the patriarchy, right?
Yep.
They're not told to communicate their feelings, and i.e. they're not also therefore told to be vulnerable. And we as women want that, especially in moments where you as a person are going through something.
Yeah.
In you're experiencing a life crisis. And so what happens then is you have men who just absorb and to the point that they can't handle that pressure anymore, that the only thing that they can do is turn to the first person, and
which is most likely their partner, and then
let
just
it go.
release. Yeah.
And it's not healthy.
It's not.
No, everything except. But I think it's like it like has to do with the whole culture, and like it is the patriarchy thing, but it's like that whole culture of you've got to suck it up. You know, like back in like my days of acting training, there used to be this technique, and they basically what it says was you have like 10 of like emotional scale 10 on the inside, and show like 2 to the outside.
Even 1.5.
You know, even less. I mean, like you're supposed to like go through a whole lot of nonsense, and I mean 2020's been awful, and you've realized you're actually an alcoholic because of the alcohol ban, and whatever's happened, you know, and you're just there like burning inside, and you just like conditioned to literally just say, no, I'm okay, I'm fine. Oh, you want to talk about my retrenchment? No, we don't talk about. You want to talk about my alcoholism? No, we don't talk about. You want to talk about how I treat other women? No, we don't talk about it. It's fine.
The key word there is conditioned. Men are definitely conditioned to not openly talk about things that directly impact them, including their childhood. I think one thing that we tend to overlook is the childhood traumas that we have that therefore carry into our relationships. For me, I have anxiety. So I am a type of person where if we're arguing, don't scream and shout at me. Just don't, because I
scream back. That's the problem. I scream back. No, I give you what you give me. Like if you're gonna scream, I'm screaming too. If you're gonna fight, I'm fighting too. Like let's fight.
I'm literally just like, no, please. This is what I meant. This is how I feel, and that's it. Now, the moment you start raising your voice, I am checking out. Mentally, emotionally, and physically. Like I am leaving. I just don't want to be in a space where I feel like now, you know, if you're shouting, what is the next step after shouting? I feel like it's more aggression, right?
No, it's definitely physical.
You see?
Oh no, honey, it's definitely physical.
And that for me is a trigger. And so I think being in a relationship where I try my best to, because at first I think we openly acknowledge that we are both people who avoid confrontation.
Oh yeah, solid.
But then sometimes avoiding confrontation can be actually very bad for your relationship because you're leaving a lot of issues unattended to, and then when you do have one issue, it's a buildup of all of these other issues. So I think it's so important to, how can I say, be constructive in how you are aware of your traumas, and then how you communicate it to your partner. Because that ultimately could become a cycle.
Let me tell you something. If you want to know your partner's traumas, get into an argument or disagree with them. Let me tell you something. That is something I learned the hard way in this relationship. That I realized with me, once I'm one of those people, like you push me, I push you further. You hit below the belt, I go to hell. You hit me by the knees, I shoot you in the ankles. Like I'm one of those that I will have to defend myself. You will teach me to defend myself because, but trust me, if you want to get to know your partner's childhood traumas, have a disagreement. And you know, a disagreement where you guys are, you know, it's a really important issue. You know, it's not like a frivolous thing of washing the dishes or maybe like
having a discussion about whether the toilet seat should be a certain position. Something like a real
something like something happened on Instagram or something is happening, you know, like in life.
Like Twitter is against me right now.
Yes, you know, and
hashtag triggered.
See,
I don't get Twitter, but I get that it gets to people.
For real, let's actually, when you get into an argument like that, you actually start to understand your partner's way. Because also the one thing that, and I'm gonna speak on the Black experience, guys, and I keep saying this every podcast because that's what I know. But the Black African experience, kids were never, and we were never taught how to argue. Do you know why? Because the moment you wanted to defend yourself or actually prove a point or actually build your argument, your parent probably backhand the living life out of you because you were back chatting them.
You were being cheeky.
I was being cheeky.
Yeah.
For me, that's the one thing, and that's where childhood trauma start. Because it's like, okay, cool, I'm a child growing up, and the thing is, when you also as a parent walk into that thing of I'm raising a child, then you've already got it wrong. You need to raise someone who's going to be your age one day, married one day, in a relationship. And a lot of our childhood traumas are actually in our relationships, right?
Yeah.
You grow up as a young person, you try and build this agency. Okay, I need to make decisions for myself. I need to be able to do things for myself. Well, you make a mistake, beating. Guys, in corporate, you don't get beaten. You get warnings and you get fired. But now for me, when I do something wrong, I'm expecting a beating because that's what we grew up with. We were never taught how to argue. That's why half of our relationships were screaming at each other. We're trying to because we don't know how to do this. We don't know how to have a healthy disagreement. We're never taught.
It's like that beating that you had as a kid kind of translates into like you beating yourself up.
Oh, wow.
Like you're literally just like you become your parent beating you up in later life.
This is a therapy session I didn't know I needed.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna need that tape when Candace, when you do the whole cutting, chopping, whatever. I'm gonna need that. I think I need to post that for my company. And I'm not even meaning this in a very like shady way, but this is genuinely the work that I'm trying to do, because you literally become that. You become the parent that you actually resent the most. That's the scary part. But now, guys, let's talk about relationships. We bring that into our relationships. Let's talk about my mom. My mom hates confrontation. That's why I will confront any human being out there. I'm so confrontational because of that. Because she hated it so much. There's so much issues that me and her have that we've never addressed. And it worries me one day that there's going to be a toilet paper seat or a toilet seat that's been lifted up, and that will be the reason why we address this. Do you understand? My dad is the complete opposite. He believes in confrontation, but he's also one of those. He hits below the belt sometimes, you know? So now I've literally become that.
Like the average of it.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Like if we in a relationship, I think one of the first questions you need to ask, maybe like on the third date, what are your childhood traumas? What No, we need to talk about that.
Wait.
I'm so serious.
Are you even farting on the third date?
Okay, but no, mine is different. I slept with my partner the first night I met him, and then we're dating like 4 months later. But it's fine.
Okay. Maybe we should set it like, instead of like putting a date cap, like at least month 1, you should start getting a sense of what's up.
I regret not doing that.
You reckon?
I regret not doing that. I would have avoided a lot.
Okay, this is my thing. I think you can't rush vulnerability. You can't rush openness.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And I think it's a thing where you have to cultivate that environment in order to expect results and change. So if you are aware that the way we speak or communicate isn't viable or sustainable, then what are we doing to cultivate an environment that changes it?
It's a problem if it's only one person doing it, though.
Exactly. Now that's a whole
That's a problem if it's only one person doing it.
Now you can't. How many plants are you watering by yourself?
You're a gardener. You're a farmer.
It's too much.
But then it's also the whole.
It's a two-way street. Yeah.
It's also like the whole like. I mean, it's a full-time job. This whole idea of having to be the person that extends the hand and tries to, I don't want to say fix, but tries to like make that conversation happen, make that openness happen, and facilitate that whole process on your own. And it's just like, it's futile. You're literally just gonna wear yourself out.
It's hard. Like I remember there was a time when now must I call you by your real name? What must I do?
I am Miles, okay.
So there was a time when Miles, whenever I had specific issues, right? His go-to was to disappear like a magician.
Yeah,
He would-
that's that
he
childhood
would
trauma vibe
literally-
right there.
What do you mean disappear?
Like, I'm so sorry for hurting you. I didn't mean to hurt you. I
I-
love you. I'm going away for a bit.
I need to
I'll come
drive.
back.
I need to. Yeah, that is
So in
solid
my moment-
You like
childhood
you
vibes.
dating me? I would have driven to you.
Like, where,
you're very lucky
where
to-
are you going?
Where are you going?
Where
You must ask my ex about me. I drove to his house.
Where
He
are you
tried to
going?
disappear me.
But it
Yeah.
was in those moments where I
Disappear.
think, right? It's like a magician, like Houdini. But it was in those moments where I would understand. I'd be mad, but I'd understand because I'd be like, this is his go-to mechanism. This is
Yeah.
his way to understand what's happening and then come back and resolve it. Because it's not like you would just disappear and just act like everything was fine. You would come back and you'd be like, okay, I acknowledge what I did was wrong. What can I do to be better? But then I think it was like the third time where I was like, okay,
It's starting.
stop disappearing now.
Yeah.
Now I'm mad. You can't disappear.
Yeah.
Because there was a day when I needed him, he didn't come because he overslept. You overslept. You were late.
I still
He was
feel
late.
awful
It's a lot of things
about
that go on in relationships.
He was
eh?
late and he was meant to
I mean-
be there.
I mean, to
And
me-
then his go-to response was, "Let me disappear." But you weren't there. What is going on? So I was just like, no,
Yeah, no,
today
that's,
I'm
yeah.
going to let you
I think
know.
one of these episodes we actually have to bring all our men and call them out and just like sit them on
Wow.
the side and
Call
say,
out
listen.
But I think
ah,
one of cultivating that environment was having that open and hard conversation about what you do when things are bad hurts me.
Yeah.
So
Guys, it's
let's
easier
change
said
it.
than done because can I tell you, man? Like,
But
and
you
I
have to
think
do with someone who's willing to put in the
Yeah.
work.
sure, and I
That
think maybe
is
it's because I'm
super
thinking.
important.
I think maybe because I'm thinking for me, and I might get backlash when I get home for saying this, but it's easy for us to say this when you are the partner that's seeing something that's
you
know,
know, the
but now-
self-aware partner.
I'm the self-aware partner, and I'm also sitting there and I'm like, dude, this like are you cool? Like, are you okay? But now he is not acknowledging the fact that not everything is fine. You're not actually fine.
He's
and
not
for
doing
me-
self-check-ins a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, when you deflect from your own emotions, you end up having your partner feeling like they're a punching bag. And I think it's so important that you also just take a seat back because now, you know what it's going to sound like, right? If I go home and I say, okay, dude, like, you know, today I really didn't appreciate A, B, and C and all of that, it's going to be backlash. And then I say, okay, but look, I've been noticing that, you know, you haven't really been yourself. You haven't really been okay lately.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, you trying to weaponize.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Are you
so
trying to therapize
Yeah.
me?
you trying to no. This is his favorite go-to word. We need to come up with a name for it. His favorite go-to word is psychoanalyze. So he thinks I psychoanalyze
Oh,
because
wow.
I work.
Are you at therapy?
But I mean,
I
mean,
do
is there-
psychoanalyze. Like that's his go-to.
And he sees it as a bad thing.
I mean, I don't know why, because I'm actually going to be working with children with different, you know. So for me,
Yeah.
psychoanalyzing more than anything, like
Makes sense actually. But,
yeah, like that's.
but
I
I
mean,
mean,
the work
but
though.
the thing is though, like even if you aren't like specifically aware of what psychoanalysis is, you still psychoanalysis. I'd like some psychoanalysis.
Okay, yes, continue. Yeah.
But like even if you don't know what psychoanalytics is, you still do it. Like that whole thing of like, hey, you know, don't judge a book by the cover. That's exactly what it is.
And I don't think
That's still-
psychoanalyzing is bad. I'm also a
No.
person where I don't know if you've noticed, I pick up on patterns very quickly.
No, you do.
Much too
And
No, you do.
and I'm always just like,
And
I-
half of the time, not even half. A lot of the time, you're right.
like spot on.
Mm.
Yeah.
guys.
But that's not a bad thing.
It's not a
You should
bad
have
thing.
a partner who's able to
Exactly.
pick up on your patterns.
I think the issue is that some men or most men, or I don't even know, just men, find being vulnerable or going to therapy as a bad thing.
Or a weakness or admission.
Mental
of
health
guilt or
in black
something.
households is always seen as a thing of like, if I'm going to therapy, they think I need to be put in a straitjacket.
I mean,
And it's not that.
I still have that in the back of my mind.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't come from a black household, but like somehow that's
It's
popped
still
in
seen as
in
like,
my-
why are you
Yeah.
prioritizing your mental health? And I think what people don't genuinely understand is that therapy is a moment for you to honestly unpack
to
your childhood traumas and then be aware of what it is that you're doing currently so that you don't continue the cycle. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And so if you're with someone who wants to sort of be like, I want to change, and then they're not willing to be vulnerable in that change. And it's like you're kind of just going to be doing all the work most of the time.
So I have a question.
Yeah, it's like that's burnout in a territory.
And you don't want to be burnout in a relationship.
No.
So yeah, what happens now when one part is very self-aware, open to therapy, all of that, and then the other party is not as open and doesn't really, but not because he doesn't want the relationship to work, but it's just something that he's not comfortable with. That's part one of the question. Part two, what happens when you are trying your very best to actually reveal the pattern, reveal the fact that, dude, I'm trying here, but like I feel like you are just in a different world. You're deflecting, you know, and you kind of, you know, and these things happen a lot where, you know, maybe I would point out that, okay, you did this wrong and I didn't really appreciate it. And then it would be like, yes, so I did that wrong. However, you did, you know, like it's kind of like we take what
you did this, I did this.
But that's,
you know,
like
that Spider-Man,
you
know that Spider-Man meme where they're poaching each other.
So now we're both wrong, and for me, it's like, why does that happen? In this case, I'm not wrong. I'm just saying I don't particularly like what you did.
I mean, it sounds like what the sort of the culture, maybe like this is corporate speak, but like the culture in this relationship is like a give and take kind of thing, where it's like table tennis. You know, like there's no point where the ball actually just stands still and like takes its time to like go, you know, it's like deflection immediately.
It's kind of like you don't even give the ball time to even be in your court.
You
just want to immediately Serena Williams 53 championships, that thing back. Like to prove a point that I'm not the only one who's wrong. Like for me, I won't lie to you guys. Like I think the 2020 has done really well in that it revealed a lot of things about me, and a lot of my flaws. I'm actually starting to like them a lot. Right, the fact that I'm very confrontational for me actually reminds me of how aware I am. Like within myself. Like Candace will know that I don't mind being called out for my BS. I really don't mind. In fact, I actually enjoy it when my friends say, "Nsako, you are wrong here. I don't appreciate you here." Or if a friend of mine would hit me up, maybe if I said something wrong. I hope I'm triggering you. If I said something wrong or said something in like a snacks way, and then they'd hit me up and be like, "So I just wanted to make sure that you're fine," you know. Like I appreciate things like that because sometimes, as much as I'm aware, like sometimes you can make mistakes with it. You can make mistakes. So for me, I like being called out. But some people
will get very defensive.
It's that the whole thing. It's that whole thing of like. I mean, you kind of have the strengths and the weaknesses that you're given by like life in general, and I mean, some of your strengths are weaknesses in certain circumstances, and I think like the main thing of like a partnership in a relationship is just figuring out a way to make that work in the best and the worst of times. You know.
You're right about that. My strength is confrontation. My weak is confrontation. I confront everything, which is a weakness, but I also confront everything, which is a strength.
Because what if you were that type of person where you just chose to be like, you know, Candace in 2017, who didn't want to raise any issues and just chose to compound that, kept it to yourself and not mention it at all and pretend everything is okay? It's not healthy.
Even the strongest jars explode when you fill them up with too many things.
Exactly.
Even the strongest jars will explode.
So to answer your first question, I think there was a time when therapy was offered in our relationship. And I was a huge advocate for it because I was going to therapy. And I was saying maybe because we're not really, you know, the 1 + 1 isn't equal 2 right now.
It's equaling one and a half.
Something else. So maybe we need a third party to make sure it equals 2. And
feels triggered.
Rightfully said, "I'm not ready."
Triggered.
And I respected that because he himself as an individual, I think when we're in relationships, we think that, you know, we become one, but we forget that this one person has a lot of history that sort of compounds to how their relationship and your relationship. But then at some point now you have to then be the bigger person and say, "I've done all I can. And now I'm leaving it to you to figure it out." Because you are an individual at the end of the day. You have your own autonomy, you have your own agency. But for the benefit of this relationship and removing the slack of all the work on me, you need to figure out what works for you.
No, this is 150% because also my thing is, and I think if we look at it like from a business aspect, like if you're gonna shut my idea down, you better have a better one. No, like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but like, I came with a really dope suggestion, and you said no. So okay, cool. Like, this is a partnership, right? So what's your take? And if you have nothing to bring to the table, then honey, we need to have a different conversation.
Yeah, but that's that's the same thing as people that just complain about stuff like nonsensically forever, for the sake of complaining and just never coming with any solution to the thing, even if it isn't like the perfect solution. At least you can workshop something. Or
I think it's always important in relationships that when going forward, you always at least are aware that, okay, my partner has this, I have that. And so when we're dealing with issues, maybe the best way to like workshop dealing with the issue and not with each other, because if the problem becomes, let me deal with him, then he takes it as a, oh, she's trying to fix me, she's trying to change me. And it's like, no, I'm trying to make you aware of how you relationship in this relationship so that we can have a better relationship. Because ultimately, you not taking care of yourself has an effect on our relationship. Absolutely. And that's something that men are not genuinely self-aware. They think, I just entered a relationship, I go day one, we just eat. So long as she's fed, so long as she gets round, so long as, you know, I maybe occasionally send her e-wallets, everything's fine. But where is the self-check-in to go, okay, my girl's had a very hectic day at work today, and I saw her crying while she was in the shower. Should I maybe do something to set up a safe environment where we can equally just share and just open each other without attacking her for crying or saying, why are you crying? You haven't done, no.
Yeah, no, that's
create that environment where you can cultivate vulnerability in a safe way. Because believe it or not, being vulnerable is also being intimate.
Solid.
It is.
Intimacy doesn't just talk about yourself. It's actually being able to exchange that information in a safe way.
It is.
Yeah.
Period.
That is so true.
Period.
Shut it down.
But there's a lot to it, you know. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm taking this thing very personally because of recent events.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like you know, you kind of find yourself feeling like, you know, you really, really love your partner, but you just wish they could do a little bit more looking into themselves, looking within.
And sometimes it's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think they need to acknowledge that looking into themselves has more benefits than losses. And that it'll cultivate a greater level to the relationship rather than just seeing it as a thing of like, oh, she's trying to change me and she doesn't like me. It's not even that. I enjoy being in your company. I enjoy everything about you. But at certain aspects or certain points in our lives when we're going through crises, I need you to just be a little bit more aware about how you handle things and also just how you talk about these things, because it can have an impact on just how I feel then as your girlfriend or as your partner. Because the way you say things therefore then makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. And you never want to be in a position where you're like, am I doing enough? It's because
that's self-sabotage. Yeah, exactly. I've got a slightly contentious question. Like right when we started out, Nsako, you mentioned like that you always end up in a situation where you get to a relationship and like you feel the need to fix the person you're with. Yeah. Like is that just like at which point do you realize that oh hell, I'm in a relationship where like there's some issues that I feel the need to want to fix in order for this relationship to work? And like how long does that take between that point and like getting to the understanding of like, okay, hang on, this person
doesn't want to be fixed.
They're just never gonna, it's not the right time for them. They're not making the space for themselves to do it.
Yeah, so i.e. when is the like drawing line for you to be like,
because
I've tried all I can.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one, eh? You know, usually the breakups are never because I failed at fixing you. It's because you did something stupid that I couldn't stand. Genuinely. Like the last one was because he had a child outside of a relationship. The one before that was cheating. Like guys, you know when you cheat more than a cheater.
Yay!
That
animal that ran.
You know what? And you know the one before that we broke up because it was just getting too violent. Like so it was never something that. But the reason why I'm saying that I realized that I'm a fixer, the fixer season all 7 seasons is because of hindsight. So why I stopped doing that, because I actually started focusing. I looked within. Hey, after my last breakup, guys,
you took some time. off, right?
I did. You guys were there through it.
Yes.
Like, I took time off because I was just like, first of all, I need to sort out my ish personally. And I realized that I needed to love myself so much that, one, I don't need to fix you. And also now that I actually have work to do in that fixing thing, I don't really feel the need to do it with men anymore. I realized that, and let me take this thing and make it my purpose, that because I still want to help people. I really, really do, especially learners. So I'm going to put all that energy into my work because, one, secures the bag, puts a roof over my head, and it makes me happy. Done. So it's always a hindsight. And I'm glad you asked me that question. Am I in the type of relationship right now where I feel like I have to fix him? Absolutely not. He's a grown man. I don't need to fix anything. However, he is a great person who just needs to look a little bit more within. Because some of the things that he points out in me is actually a reflection of him. And that's for me more than anything. It's just revealing certain things about each other that is happening now. But no fixing. I'm not fixing him. Okay, I'd like to say PSA. I'm not fixing a man for the rest of my life, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell them you can't be working in work and then working in your relationship.
But it's that same thing. Like you just mentioned it. Like you needed to take that time to fix and figure out and make sense of yourself to a point where you're cool with it. Men don't take that time. Like,
because when you guys break up, you hop onto Tinder and then you find the next hand that you want to sleep with. That's the problem. So how are you healing when you're hopping onto the next woman?
If
and those
it's
are
not even
soul
that,
ties.
if it's not even that, it's literally like it. There isn't even a breakup. You're just cheating, or you're
or you go drinking. Go Rockets. No, but guys, Rockets is nice. You go drinking, at some random place with those friends who said, Velo, you don't need women anyway. And that time, those are the same friends that are in long-term relationships. Behind you.
No, absolutely.
So where are you taking the time when every single time you're trying to deflect your emotions into a woman? It's either you're coming in her, on her, or through her. Whatever you're doing, you're not doing within yourself. You're doing it on her.
Yeah. No, I think that's like
I need that on a t-shirt.
Like
that's
yeah. I mean, both could be arranged.
Yeah, you were saying this is why?
No, it's just like, man, like like that whole thing just literally takes me back to like, at some point you got to work on yourself and stop like pointing the blame to other places and other things that are not in even the slightest minutia of your control. You know, because that shit ain't gonna change. Just because you're yelling. It's like a Karen yelling about something. Men have little Karens in their head.
Little.
Just okay.
I told you guys today that I'm choosing violence. I feel like you didn't believe me. When I said I'm choosing violence.
Okay, men have alter egos.
Like they've got Karens that they just point blame out on like other things, and they just are incapable or not willing to just take like a step back and like see, hey, okay, hang on, I was being wrong here. Like there's a thing that happened like 3 weeks,
the thing is, what you're asking
weeks
for
ago.
From men is accountability. Be accountable of your feelings.
I don't want to use big words.
Of your actions.
I don't want to use big words.
What is it? Own your shit.
Own your shit. That's what I wanted you to say.
Own your
But the word accountability, you know what they think, ne? They said, no, but I'm accountable. Exactly. I know what I'm doing wrong. It's like, no. Own the fact that as much as you're a great person, you are flawed, and your mental health now is starting to affect our relationship. So all I'm asking you to do is, one, look within. Spend a day or two just not even engaging on social media, just your phone down, just sit with yourself and say, who am I? The arguments that I've had, how many of them have I contributed to them ending badly, or them just ending with no resolution, or where now you constantly want to agree to disagree? Why aren't you agreeing?
Why do I decide to go below the belt? You know, why do I have to stay
because
such,
let me tell you something. Now, if you go below the belt with me, I go below your knees, and then you go on my ankles, I go to hell. Period. No, for real, guys. Like,
but I mean, it's also there's also the flip side of it, where like you have men that like aren't maybe as apprehensive and they kind of have that like whole I am the victim thing
Yeah.
as well, where it's like, no, it's me. It's I am the issue and I need to fix it, and it never gets fixed because it's that spiral of just like.
And then you have some men who say,
yeah,
oh yeah, it's fine. You know what? It's me. It's me. It's me.
Yeah.
It's always me. You know, as a defense mechanism to make you feel bad for constantly
like a
blaming
sarcastic understanding of life.
Yeah.
Yes, guys. Yeah. Mental
That's
health,
deep.
guys. Like it's
Deep.
For me, I'm glad we didn't take the normal depression, anxiety route of this conversation. We actually spoke about traumas. We spoke about sometimes men just need to look within, because honestly, we know how to handle depression, anxiety. We just need to be very careful.
I'm curious to know what men do as a form of self-care.
They drink.
No, that is not self-care.
No, but that's literally.
But that's what they think they do.
Exactly.
Because I feel that the
it's
self-care that we as women are given is that, meditate, take a bubble bath,
we
download
do so much.
meditation apps, go on spa treatment getaways, which we should
have
do
lunch.
soon.
Yes, honey.
We should do
You
soon.
do lunch on your own.
Breakfast, lunch,
you go do your nails, hair, and toes in one day.
But
you go for a facial. Women, we can list. Men, I'm like, okay, they probably
watch football and
they'll watch soccer.
I will say though, like watching football or sport or something is a vibe, but also it's like a very like aggressive thing. It's like, how dare the opposing team lose when
screaming.
the blue team and the red team.
If it's not PS5, then it's
I mean, sure, there's like enjoyment in it, I guess.
But what actual state of the environment, when do you actually say to yourself, Miles, I'm going to take some time to just, actually you do it every morning. You go on the mat and you're like.
But I mean, that is after a long that's like after a long session of like not doing it.
Yeah.
And finding myself in spaces.
So I think what men need to ask themselves, because it's not on us to do it for them.
I'm tired.
Men need to ask themselves, what am I doing in terms of self-care? In terms of, irrespective of drinking or going out with my mates, what am I doing with myself without my phone, or maybe using my phone as a tool that helps me check in? And there are a lot of apps, Calm, Headspace. You can even download freaking guided meditations on YouTube where you literally sit with yourself. Either you're stuck in traffic. I don't give a damn where you are. You're stuck in traffic, or you're in bed and you're struggling to sleep. Just spend those 10 to 15 minutes just checking in.
Even longer, because you guys have more problems.
Actually,
no, and I don't mean this in a malicious way. Please spend longer, because I used to do this all the time, where I used to actually take myself out for lunch at least twice a week. Because I knew that, okay, you have a problem. You need to sit with yourself. You need to enjoy your company. I used to take myself to the movies all the time. Men, I'm sorry, but 10 minutes is not enough for your problems and your childhood traumas. You guys need more time. You need to understand vulnerability, and also.
But I think, remember, you're asking it's like asking. What example do I use? It's like asking certain.
Baby to talk.
Yeah. It takes time, right?
Yeah.
So you start slowly. So that's why I'm saying, even if you go on Calm, it will even navigate you to say, if you're new to our guided meditation, we recommend you start with 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And as every day goes, you up your duration.
Yeah.
So that at least it's not uncomfortable, because to be very honest, it is a very scary place to be by yourself and your thoughts.
It is, but lockdown. I thank lockdown for doing that, guys. Because honestly, if I wasn't in that level 5 lockdown in that 1-bedroom apartment, I would have not known myself the way I did.
Yeah.
Like not being able to go anywhere, just being on your own, really reveals a lot about you.
That's true.
But for me, it's so important that men take the time. I think my partner does that in the mornings. He's up at 5 o'clock. He's in the garden with a cup of coffee and 702 playing in the background.
Okay, that's a problem.
Exactly.
Exactly. Coffee in the garden, wonderful.
Right.
702. That's where the issue comes through, because now you're like projecting all of the news and the this and the that and the beef and this politician and the whatever and the traffic you're about to face. Like that. How do you do that when you wake up?
Yeah, no, 702 is chaos in the morning. It's like the world's burning. Now there's traffic. It's too much. Now numbers are the economic. No, it's too much. Now you're projecting that chaos within your life.
It's also that thing of like when. I mean, I know the two of you as excellent examples of like when you go out and you do self-care. and you go there. You that is the intention.
Yes, the intention is to love
I'm
myself.
I'm going to go to the spa and I'm going to get treated and pampered like the queen I am. You know,
men don't even know they're kings. You always have to have a woman remind you that you are.
Yeah, and like what a lot of men do is like it's a whole like switch off mechanism rather than actually fixing things. It's like, okay, I'm gonna play games, which I'm not bashing. Games are amazing, and they can do so much like beautiful things to your psychology and your thinking, your understanding of stuff.
Right.
But then you end up playing Call of Duty for 7 hours, and you're like,
as a way of deflecting from your real reality.
It's more of a switch off thing where you get games that really like engage in those things.
I want to use the best example is my brother. And I'm starting to realize that I need to be a little bit more careful with him. So he wakes up at like 6, right?
Okay.
First thing he does, pop smoke. Blast the speakers. Blast. First thing in the morning. And I thought it was a phase, right? Because he's 16.
Yeah.
I thought it was a phase. But then I realized that he's not even waking up to calm.
Yeah.
He literally wakes up and chooses violence. And I realized that, okay, cool. Yeah. So then let's go through the day. So my brother wakes up, loud music, goes in the shower, music is still playing, then goes downstairs, watches a few soapies, and then we'll probably go back to his room, play music, watch movies, and then go downstairs, eat something, go back upstairs, play music. Yeah, so I realized that in that day, it's just music, right? And I understand he's passionate about music, but when is it that quietness, that I'm on a love Muhari now, and Shema named him. Sorry, bro.
Moo.
I want to sit down.
We will bleep it.
Yeah, I can sit down and understand it because he's also not the most vulnerable, hey?
Yeah.
Like at all. And not because my dad cries. I've seen my dad cry more than I've seen my brother cry, just by the way. I've seen my dad cry more than I've seen my mom cry. Which is kind of the dynamic that I come from, by the way. Yeah. That's the household dynamic I come from. I'm seeing my dad cry more than my mother.
Hectic.
Like how
so it means when you're getting married, your dad's just gonna have a whole Kleenex situation.
My dad is a happy crier, he's a sad crier, he's a frustrated crier, he cries. My mom, she's probably gonna choose violence. Yeah. Maybe that's where I get it from. She's probably just gonna choose violence.
I think we're talking about it. This was the therapy session.
But I need it.
I think what is important though, I think for listeners who are in relationships who are like, how can I cultivate a safe environment? Maybe do something together. I know, for instance, when we pray, we usually pray with a candle together. We hold each other's hands, and then we take a moment to just breathe and be in that moment, even if it's not closing your eyes or speaking directly openly. You're looking at the candle and you're just being mindful.
What color is that candle?
Well, any scented candle.
Literally any candle.
Scented, any other candle, just do it. And I think that's something that I enjoyed. That's even how we started off 2021. And I think that's a routine we probably are going to have when we do decide to have a household together. Yeah. Just in that moment of being mindful, just holding each other's hands and just saying, okay, maybe I can individually just look within and see what my life has been like. And you will individually look within, and then together we're done.
But also like a candle at the bathtub, when you have that long ass bath for like an hour and something, and you're just there like, what is life? And then you have that candle.
Take long hard baths.
They won't even take a bath because they feel demasculated when they're sitting there. Their penis is sitting on both of their
legs. Oh no, it's the most beautiful thing.
Guys, it like. What? Like, stop limiting yourselves from being vulnerable. By being vulnerable, you're opening up to your true self. Why are you stopping yourself from your true self?
I think they're scared of true self.
Right?
They're scared of the demons, especially when you feel like you can lose. You can lose to your demons. When you feel like that, dude, of course you're gonna run away from your problems. Of course you're gonna run away from your actual true being.
I think we need to invite a really good friend of mine. He did a TED talk on masculinity. And
that was
so beautifully of how masculinity is the one thing that is killing Black men, and we're not simply just talking about it. We're not also simply just acknowledging that I, as a Black man, can also be vulnerable with you as a Black man, and not emasculate myself in that. And I think that's maybe a conversation we need to have, because we have a whole damn podcast.
I will
talking
say,
about
girls
it
can
all the
talk
time.
and talk to each other, and we still respect each other. We still love each other.
Mhm.
I mean, women, bruh, women, you like, we don't even have to know each other. We can just sit down and be like, man, I'm
Oh
telling
my
you,
gosh.
we will have a sisterhood by the
Yeah.
end of that day.
Exactly.
You know?
yeah. I mean, it might just be like personal experience, but like it is
Mhm.
getting better. Or it might just be that I'm aligning myself with people that have
what
gotten
type of-
that
yeah.
breakthrough where they've got like figured out, oh, okay, this is kind of like the ins and outs of being me
Mm.
that I obviously didn't know up to now.
Mm.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of work. I think the 2017 miles, the
Miles.
2017 miles and the 2021 miles are two different people.
miles
And
apart.
it takes,
So what? You guys are crazy.
and it takes the willingness.
So, what advice do you have for someone out there who their partner is starting to project a lot of their things, but they're not realizing it, and you just don't really know how to go about the conversation? Like, what advice? Because you also love the partner, you really, really do, because they really have amazing traits.
Mm.
However, you just feel them going down a very slippery slope
Mm.
with their mental health, but they don't realize it.
Yeah.
I can speak on experience. Deconstruct the issue. And I think it's something that maybe he gets really frustrated when I'm always questioning why,
But it
where,
works.
how, but it works.
Yeah.
Because what it does is that it can actually pinpoint to the root of the issue, and then you actually realize the issue isn't you, the issue is something that they're going through personally. And sometimes my deconstruction methods makes people cry, and it's good. You let that cry out. You actually realize that there's something that's bothering me that I've been deflecting so much, and in that deflection, I'm projecting. And I think what men need to understand is that when you project and make the issues seem like it's your partner's, what you do is you affect the relationship even more. Because now here your partner is sitting thinking, he's been having this issue with me for so long, he hasn't told me. And now I feel bad because now I'm a bad girlfriend. How have I not been checking up? But meanwhile, if you're not actually critically looking and asking, is the issue really me or is the issue something else?
Yeah.
And then he tells you, no, actually it's something else. Then you can be like, okay, now we can put two and two minds together to deal with the issue.
Yeah.
But if you're with, because I mean, our conversation, our recent conversation in December could have easily ended up in a very heated conversation if he chosen to be defensive. But I think when you're with someone who openly is vulnerable and doesn't see you questioning them as an attack, but rather trying to see what the issue is, then it opens up to greater doors of conversation to say, okay, so you have this issue, let's do this. You have this issue, I can help you here. It takes willingness on your partner's part.
Yeah, and respect.
And that's something that you can't curate on your own.
Yeah.
Can Kira do it for me?
Oh yeah. Now I'll be sending an invoice. When we're sending, but I think what you should do is just in your own capacity as advice, create those environments of vulnerability, and see how your partner responds to those environments. Because if they see you taking 5 minutes out in guided meditation or just sitting and looking at a candle and manifesting, and they attack you for that, then you have to be like, okay, the issue is clearly not me. The issue is that this person doesn't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because it's like how do you pry but in a subtle way? Like
that's what I'm trying to gauge.
I guess it would be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got their own nonsense and but like I think like Candace has got a point. Like if you create the environment where you can talk about like the silly stuff, but also like the real deep stuff of like today, I feel like like pizza is on my face.
Yeah.
Because I just feel awful and like the whole world hates you and you're willing to admit that stuff, which you would never tell anyone else. I mean that's good.
And it's scary having to trust your partner.
But it takes time though, that's the thing.
But I think once you find that environment in which you can openly be open, you can always go back to the environment as a vulnerable safe space. So for instance, when we both have very tough days, we either say, okay, let's go to Northcliffe Hill.
Yeah.
And we just sit and we look at the world, and then until we're ready to just then you in our own time, in our own space, because we respect that. So I think that environment is important. And so if you find like a neutral environment where you both are openly vulnerable, then carry that environment with you and just say, okay, today I've noticed we both had difficult days. Can we go here and let's talk?
Yeah.
It's easy, but it's hard.
And I mean, it's also like that one thing that men struggle with, and y'all have unpacked it very much, honesty.
Yeah.
Because damn, it's more difficult than it seems. Because to be honest, you actually need to believe what you're saying, and you need to know that what you're, like, and be willing to like. Now it's a lot of self-work.
Yeah.
And I mean, on the one hand, it's like stuff that like, I think a lot of it's been unpacked because me and Candace have been like together for a while. So like we've given it that time, and like, as we grow as people, we get to the next bridge, and we kind of figure out what's the story.
And the fact that he says the bridge, because I think that's how we see our issues. We see our issues are, we're both stuck at this point, we're trying to get to this point. So let's not turn at each other and start fighting at each other. The issue is the bridge and how we're going to cross that bridge. And I think that changes the perspective on things, because you're not now saying, okay, now we're going to fight. Let me talk about how you do your hair. We don't do that. We just rather go. We just go, okay, so the issue is this. We want to get to this. We want to resolve the issue. How do we get there? What are the steps that will make us both feel comfortable in getting to the other side of the bridge?
Yeah, and also like as you like after you've had that discussion and that understanding, you kind of have to like, as you cross the bridge, like don't lose like that connection. You kind of have to still talk to each other. Like, okay, this is what's up.
Are you okay?
I've gotten to this point, and this like drawbridgey thing. Those ones you see in the, like Indiana Jones.
Yes,
Like at this point, you can just go like, hey, listen, this thing is swinging. Maybe could you just like stabilize that one, like, because you're still on the one end.
It's
like
a process
stabilize
of self-checking.
But I think it's willingness, eh?
Oh yeah, no, like
it's very important. I'm starting to.
That's number one.
And what you guys are saying, I'm starting to realize that there needs to also be a certain level of willingness from the other partner. You can only do so much as the one partner who's on the receiving end. You really can only do so much. It really,
Facts. And on that note, we're gonna end it there, guys. I don't know how else. We've talked about childhood trauma.
It's gone.
We're talking about a lot, and I think this is a third session that we all needed, and probably you as a listener needed too.
Amandla.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Daddy. Anyway, we are in a new home that we're going to be calling home for quite some time. And if you are keen to be a guest, you know what to do. Slide into our DMs. We'd love to have you in our new studio. But from me, Candace,
Miles,
we are out.